Welcome to the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Pluff. Each week, we will cover various topics that dads struggle with in their fitness journey. I'll give you actionable steps that you can apply right away, not only to take back control of your own health, but so you're able to be a better example for your kids too. All right. Welcome into this week's episode of the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast. Today we have Adam Badger on. Adam is a fellow dad of two young kids. He's also a fitness and nutrition coach, and he's been coaching clients now for the past decade. And so Adam is joining us today. He's got a lot of great insights, and I'm going to let him introduce himself, and then we'll get started.
Thanks a lot, man. It's a pleasure to be on. I told Anthony when he was on my podcast that if you didn't have me on the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast, I'd be greatly offended because I am a father and I'm very into fitness. Like Anthony said, I've been a coach for over 10 years. I started out as a in-person personal trainer. So ever since May of 2014, I've not earned income from any other source than from fitness. So I started off coaching clients in person. I did that 100% in person for the first 4 years. Then I started my own business in 2018, which was primarily in person. I was doing like some online stuff on the side, like nutrition coaching and doing some group challenges, things like that. And then in 2021 actually is when I really invested a lot of time and money into building my online business. And now it's kind of flipped where most of my income comes from online coaching, and I still have a small amount of in-person coaching that I do just with some loyal clients who have been with me a long time. So just a lot of experience. I hate to say I've worked with like thousands of people, but it's probably close to that when you include group challenges, online clients, in-person clients, coaching group classes. I've definitely interacted with hundreds, if not 1,000 people in my lifetime. So in terms of I was the person they were going to for fitness or nutrition advice. So I definitely feel like I am able to help people with this stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. And last week, I think it was last week, I was actually on Adam's podcast, and we had a really great discussion there. And there was a couple things that he brought up there, and I thought were pretty cool topics that I wanted to mention today. And we tried to get this episode out here before Thanksgiving, and so you can kind of apply some of the things that he's going to be teaching us today. But one of the concepts that he mentioned last week was about kind of what you do if you're consistent. And you correct me, I'm not going to explain this very well, but you talked about how like what you do, kind of every once in a while really doesn't matter if like what you're doing consistently, right, is going to be for your goals and stuff. And you talked about, I think it was the frequency,
the frequency and flexibility chart.
Yes, frequency and flexibility chart. And so I'm gonna let you explain that, and then we can go from there.
I love that as Fatherhood Fitness frequency flexibility chart. Right? So
I'm gonna that.
So basically, and it's funny, I was putting together, this was earlier this year at some point, I was putting together like a free restaurant guide, which is basically like a guide to eating out and staying healthy. And while I was trying to, and this is something that I've been explaining to my clients for years, but when you're, me and Anthony were talking before we started recording, just like how, when you have your own business, you have to learn a little bit about marketing, stuff like that. So coming up with names, especially names that have alliteration, is sometimes very helpful. So I was trying to explain this in the guide, and it was basically I narrowed it down to one page, a simple chart, and it was the frequency and flexibility chart, which basically means when it comes to behaviors that you would normally quantify as like off track, the more frequent they are, the less flexible you can be with your approach. And the less frequent they are, the more flexible you can be with your approach. So for this example, we're talking about eating out. If you're eating out at a restaurant or takeout, and you're doing that 1 to 2 times per week, which is 4 to 8 times per month, which is, definitely a very generous amount of time, you can be really flexible with your choices. Like you don't have to worry about tracking it perfectly. You don't have to worry too much about how many calories are in the meal because it's happening so infrequently. But if you're eating out 3-4 times a week, now we have to have some strategy there. We can't be as flexible. We can't just eat whatever we want and not worry about the calories if we're doing it 3 or 4 times a week. If you're going above that with eating out, then it's not about whether or not you should be flexible. It's about we probably need to change the habit of eating out. Now you can take this and you can apply it to literally anything else. You can apply it to vacations, traveling, holidays, special occasions. How frequently are they happening is going to dictate how flexible you can be. So if you're someone who qualifies any 3-day weekend, any acquaintance's birthday as a special occasion, then you can't be as flexible with how you treat special occasions when it comes to food, right? But when you take something like Thanksgiving is one day out of the year. You don't have to be tracking your calories on Thanksgiving. You don't have to worry about that. And if you're really consistent with your behavior, you could probably eat like a pig on Thanksgiving and then have some leftovers on Black Friday. And you could probably finish out some of the leftovers over the weekend, that 4-day weekend, and get back to normal on Monday, and you're still going to be fine, right? But for most people, they really don't have that baseline consistency down. So then they think that these holidays or special occasions are setting them back, but in reality, it's the other 200 and something days of the year that's actually setting you back.
Right. Yeah. And like, I'm not even going to pretend I'm going to try to recreate the wheel. I'm literally just going to use that from that flexibility like that. No, yeah. That's, I think it's something that, a lot of coaches kind of in the same circle of us, like we all kind of teach the similar things, right? But I really like the way, like, you put that you made it super simple. That's what I like to do. I don't like big complex things that people have to follow. And so frequency, flexibility, you broke that down really nicely. Now, I'm currently actually doing a challenge with some members of my Facebook group here, and that's one of the things we did a kickoff call last night, and we were talking about that. If you spent the past 11 months not focusing on your weight, the week from Thanksgiving or that week over Thanksgiving heading into Christmas here is probably not the time where you're gonna want to just all of a sudden dial in, because you're gonna be stressed. You're not gonna be enjoying the holiday. You're not gonna have any fun at all. You're not gonna get to actually watch the Lions win for once on Thanksgiving. And so, but if you're somebody who has spent the past 6 months putting those right habits in place, working out consistently, hitting your step goal, prioritizing protein, things like that, you can continue to do that over Thanksgiving. You can continue to do that heading into the holidays. But if you want to enjoy a couple pieces of pie, extra, come Monday, you're going to be right back into your routine. And so I really like that, because what you do most of the time, right, is going to lead to your results. And unfortunately, if you're not happy with where you are right now, if we look at your decisions you've made, they probably fall into that more frequent category, right? Where these eating a bag of chips at night, no big deal. Eating a bag of chips every night, that starts to become a big deal, right? And so with Thanksgiving, what are some for somebody who maybe hasn't kind of had these habits in place, somebody who hasn't made fitness quite a lifestyle yet, what are some tips you would have for them if they're starting tomorrow?
So one thing that I've been talking to my clients about is let's say there's about 5 weeks left in the year, which is crazy. Don't just go, all right, I'll start it in January, right? Because we know that probably doesn't work. What I like to have people do is, and you can do this throughout the year, but specifically for this chunk of time, look at the next 5 to 6 weeks and actually look at your schedule in terms of like what holidays you celebrate, how many things are you invited to, and narrow it down to like what are the 3 to 5 actual meals that are celebrations where the intention of the meal is to just be present and have fun with your family, right? And don't worry about any of the stuff we're talking about on those 5 days. The other, let's say if there's, there's 5 weeks left in the year by the time someone's listening to this, that's the 35 days. So 5 days, and again, not 5 entire days, but there's 5 meals that are spread over 5 days. Those 5 days, you're not hyperly focused on this. The other 30 days, focus on the basics. Don't worry about tracking your calories. Don't worry about tracking your macros. Don't worry about the perfect workout program. When it comes to nutrition, what I would focus on is each day, base your day around 3 to 4 meals, not snacks, not grazing, 3 to 4 times per day where you actually sit down and eat a meal. And make sure each of those meals has around 30 to 50 grams of protein. Now, 30 to 50 grams of protein looks about like 5 to 8 ounces of lean meat. It can be 1 to 2 scoops of protein powder. It can be a cup to 2 cups of Greek yogurt. It can be 2 whole eggs and 4 to 5 egg whites. So like just focus on getting that protein in at every single meal. And for most of those meals, try to have some sort of fiber there. So basically that means fruit or vegetable, right? And it does that doesn't have the fiber part doesn't even have to be at every single meal, but the protein does, right? And outside of those two things, you can fill in the rest of the plate realistically with kind of what you want, right? Just focus on that, because what you're going to notice is your sugar cravings are going to go way down. Your salt cravings are going to go way down. You're going to feel way more full. You're going to sleep better. You're not going to get that 3 p.m. slump. Your workouts are going to feel better. And if you're not working out yet, what I would say is start with a very basic workout program, like something you could literally do at like a Planet Fitness, full body. You're doing like some sort of press, some sort of row, some sort of lunge or squat, and then some sort of like hamstring curl or deadlift, and just start there. Like you could run that nutrition and training program for 6 months and get crazy good results, especially if you're a beginner. And for if you're like a real beginner, like you've like you're totally starting over, you've never done this stuff before, even that might sound a little complex. So just start with the nutrition stuff I talked about and going for a walk every day.
Yeah, I think that's good, and I think getting to kind of segue into a little bit of training there. You mentioned like if you're kind of starting out there, you're getting the nutrition. There's tons of resources online. You can find, like, obviously you give away free resources. I give away free resources all the time, and so I don't think it's a lack of information, right? There's tons of things there. It's how can we fit this in. Now, you mentioned somebody going to like a Planet Fitness or something. That I think I've been to a Planet Fitness maybe twice in my life. My sister used to have a membership to one, but it's great. It's like it's cheap. When I was in town visiting, I would go get a workout in or something. And for me, like, I've been in the gym now for years, right? And so I'm comfortable even in a new gym environment. I'm pretty comfortable just going in, getting my routine, But for somebody to say, let's maybe they're trying to start now, they're trying to get to the new year. There's online coaching, which I think is great for a lot of people. You still train in person. I still train in person a little bit. What I found is that the clients that I have who train in person have really no desire to train online. And the clients who I coach online don't really have a desire to go in person, right? And so they're kind of two different, and maybe you don't see as much crossover there, or as much separation there. But for somebody who doesn't really know kind of what they're doing, if somebody who doesn't have the confidence to go to a Planet Fitness and get started, what do you recommend for them?
So I think in-person personal training, I first of all, I agree with you. I think a lot of, I kind of see it more one-sided though. Like I think a lot of my in-person training clients, they have no desire to do online coaching. But my online coaching clients, I think some of them would do in person. I think literally it's just a barrier of, price, because in-person coaching is way more expensive. And also time, because you have to make an appointment and you have to restructure and that. But there are definitely a handful of online coaching clients I have that if I was like, hey, listen, do you want to start doing some in-person sessions? They would probably be like, yeah, totally, because they like that human interaction stuff. But the fact is I think personal training is very valuable, but it also is, it's expensive, right? You're paying, probably $60 to $80 per session. And if you're working with a good personal trainer or someone who's willing to maybe give you some workouts to do on your own, maybe you could get by with one session a week and then do some workouts on your own. But I've worked with personal training clients before who admittedly are like, if I'm not here with you, I'm not doing a workout. Like they're like, you could write me a program, but I'm not going to go do it on my own. So you first have to you have to be very honest with yourself and go, who, like, right now in this phase of life, where am I at? Am I someone who's willing to go to a gym and be a little uncomfortable with figuring out the machines and following a program that I got online? Right? Like, is that like, let's say you're not, you aren't, if you hire an online coach like me or Anthony, we're going to give you a program. We're also going to give you demo videos. We're also going to tell you exactly the sets and reps to do. We're going to make sure that the amount of exercise that you're doing is appropriate for you. It's not overkill. And we're also going to probably do form check videos to make sure your technique is good. We're going to be available to you like through text or Voxer support where you can message us, ask us questions. So that's a whole nother level. But let's say you just sign up for an app or something to get some workouts. What I would say is, are you the type of person who's accountable enough that you just need a plan and you'll show up to the gym? Or are you someone who's like, you literally need to know someone's waiting for you at the gym in order for you to go? So make that decision first. And if you're someone who's like, I know I will not step into a gym unless I know there's someone waiting for me to train me, then that's where you're at. And you have to probably make room in your budget to start doing some personal training. If you're someone who's a little bit more self-accountable and you're like, hey, I can show up to a gym, but I need a program and I don't want to spend time hours online trying to figure out what's the best one or trying different apps for 7 days, then canceling and trying a new one, then hire an online coach and like I said, like me or Anthony, and we could write you a program. So I think it's really important to just figure out who you are. What is your personality? Are you someone who prefers, I don't even know if it's preference. It's just like, are you going to show up and do it if someone's not waiting for you?
Right. And unfortunately, that is very common, right? I have clients who, I have some clients that I've worked with for years now, and they still do not work out very regularly without me there. I am their accountant, but they are very aware of that. They tell me all the time. They're like, you're the reason I work out. Like if we weren't meeting, I would not work. And so they told me that day one, and they every once in a while they'll go on their own, but it's very, very infrequent. And so I think especially if you're new to the gym, though, I would encourage a lot of people, if you could meet with your coach in person for at least a couple weeks, just to, kind of get the movements down, learn it. I would rather you learn it correctly the first time, not get injured, and then you can shift to online. Now, if you have like a background in weightlifting already, then obviously the transition is much easier. But it really does come down to personal preference, and it comes down to finances too, right? Online coaching is, although sometimes it can seem like, oh man, I don't want to pay that. But if you're paying for 2 or 3 sessions a week, you're going to be paying for way more. You're going to way more than you would hiring a good online coach.
Honestly, I think online coaching, it's very affordable if you're looking at where is that money going instead. So for example, like I had a conversation with someone recently and they said that, online coaching was just like out of their budget. Right. And to be just completely transparent, like if you're doing coaching with me, it's probably costing you around like $300 a month. Right. Like, which is not cheap, but not super, super expensive. And that's like around that. Sometimes it's a little more than that, depending on the needs of the client or whatever. But we say average is around $300 a month. Now, I've had this happen several times where someone was like, hey, it's just out of my budget. And then I was like, okay, and we're talking about their current nutrition habits. What do they know they need to change? And one person said that they were eating out 4 to 7 times a week, right? And being conservative, because a lot of those meals were like ordering takeout at work. It wasn't like they were going out with their whole family. So being conservative, I said, okay, so would you say you're spending about $15 every meal? She's like, yeah. I said, okay. And that's not including the times you and your 2 kids and your husband go out, which is probably $150, right? But like, let's say $15 per meal. If you did that 4 times a week, right? 4 to 7 times a week, we're talking 60 to what? 15 times 7 is 90, $60 to $90 a week on food that's actually going against your goals, right? It's food that's keeping you from losing the weight you want to lose. So for someone like that, you could take a portion of that, stop eating out so much, put it towards coaching, learn how to cook your own food, meal prep, and eat healthier. You're going to lose the weight and save money, right? So like, I think for a lot of people, it is pretty affordable. It's just there. And this is something I hope changes in the future, is people look at fitness and they're like, oh, this is like getting Botox or something. Like, it's like this elective thing that like, if I had the money, I would do that. Right. But it's like, no, it's not getting Botox. Like, this is actually changing your health and your personality, your identity from inside and out. It's making you feel more confident. It's improving your blood pressure. It's extending your lifespan. It's improving your quality of life. I think the value that you get from it is much higher than the cost. So I do think you have to take a look at where is your money going right now, and is it that you really can't afford it, or is that you're just looking at it as like, oh, this is like this fancy thing that only some people do? It's like, no, it's just probably like a pretty basic thing that most people should be doing. And it's also something you don't have to pay for forever, right? You could pay for online coaching for 4 to 6 months and change your habits, and then now you don't have that expense anymore.
Yeah, and I think that's something important too. Is like it doesn't have to be forever. Like on in-person clients, depending on their situation, some of them meet once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. Kind of depending on where they're at. So obviously you have some leeway in the budget there. That with online coaching though, I think it's really cool because at least for me, I kind of front load my programs where like I'm giving them everything in those first like 12 weeks. I'm trying to give them so much information. And then if they feel confident, like, hey, I can make progress here, then they can go out on their own, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of them stick around for a while long because then we want to learn how to maintain it, right? Losing weight or getting to your initial goal is great, but how do you maintain? Even if it's muscle, even if it has nothing to do with weight loss, if it's muscle building, learning how to maintain that, right? Like, there's tons of times, like how many times have you seen people and you're like, man, you've been lifting, and like you see them, and then the next time you see them, they kind of fall back into their old habits, right? It doesn't just have to be with weight loss. It's like whatever your goal is. And I think this is really kind of one of the best times for me when I've kind of done some cuts over the years. I always do it from that week after Thanksgiving, so that Monday up until Christmas time.
That's smart.
Because for some reason, I don't know why. I know, like, I may have, like, maybe somebody invites you to like a holiday party or something in between there, but there's typically like 3 or 4 weeks there. And then I know I'm going to enjoy Christmas a little bit more if I spent the last month pretty disciplined. I know that New Year's is coming around, and then like now I'm already ahead of my January 1st goals. And if you're looking around, I believe I saw you had a Black Friday sale going on, and I'm going to be doing the same thing for coaching here. And so like, if you like, you don't have to hire us, you just somebody if you want to train in person or something. But if you take advantage of these deals, right? Because this is a great time to get started. This is a time where a lot of people kind of just let off the gas a little bit, and then I'm going to wait till New Year's. But if you have, maybe you have 40 pounds to lose right now, that could easily be 45 plus by the new year if you just kind of throw in the towel right now. And that can be frustrating. I know I had a client who I worked with a few years ago, and cost was an issue, and so we had a call. Cost was an issue. They ended up not signing up, and then they signed up a year and a half later, I believe. And we spent those first like 3 months just getting back to where they were
on the first call.
When we had the first call. And then after that, they stuck around for a while, but then it gets kind of frustrating because like, man, I've been doing this for like 6 months now. I was like, well, actually, you've been doing this for 2.5 years, you know what I mean? And so it's like, it's hard. It's hard to kind of like, it's hard to kind of play it forward a little bit. Like if this continues to happen, I gained a pound last week, no big deal. You lose a pound next week, right? But if we gain a pound every single week, we're gaining 4 or 5 pounds a month. We're gaining 50 pounds a year. And so that 1 pound becomes insignificant, right? But the same thing goes the other way too. You may only lose half a pound this week. You may only lose 1 pound this week.
I actually have on that topic, I have a way that I explain that to clients too, is because they have this belief that they can gain weight so easily, but losing weight is so difficult. And what I find is, for most people, when they're gaining weight, they're just not paying attention to their weight, right? So what happens when people gain weight? They're not stepping on the scale regularly. Your workouts are maybe, you know, meh, or maybe you are trying to push hard in the workouts, but the diet is all over the place, whatever it is. But like, you're not paying attention to your weight. Workouts aren't amazing. You're kind of eating freely. So time goes by way faster in that circumstance because you're just kind of going through the motions. Oh, today was a rough day. Let's order a pizza. I'm going to have a couple beers. It's just way more relaxed. And to be completely honest with you, yeah, it's probably way more fun because like you're just eating whatever you want to eat. You're not working out as hard or at all. You're not stepping on the scale, so you don't have that accountability there.
Yeah.
And you gain a pound a week over 6 months. So you gain 25 pounds. Then you step on the scale, you realize you're 25 pounds overweight, you freak out, you sign up for a coach or something like that, or a program, you decide you're going to start a diet, and now you're hyper focused on your weight. You're weighing yourself daily or weekly. You're making these big changes. You're focusing on your food, you're focusing on your workouts. So now it feels like time is moving slower. But in reality, you're losing weight at the same rate that you gained it. It's just you weren't focused on your weight. So I think for a lot of people, they could benefit from. And I know it sounds biased because I'm a coach, but like if you could benefit a ton if you go into it and go, I'm going to work with a coach for 12 months. For 12 months, for an entire calendar year, we're going to go through the summer, the holidays, back to school season, we're just going to go through every ebb and flow of 12 months that I normally go through. And I'm not going to set a goal of what I have to accomplish. I'm just going to go into this I'm going to spend the next year changing my habits. If more people did that, I think more people would see way more success with their fitness goals because you'll start to realize that, weight loss and weight gain take the same amount of time. It's going to ebb and flow. And if you just commit to it, like this year, this is my focus, is getting my health on track. And you choose one approach and you actually stick to it for 12 months, your life will completely change. But again, it has to be something that's sustainable for 12 months. You can't be like, I'm going to do carnivore for 12 months and like actually like commit to learning, like you're taking a college course or something like that.
Yeah.
It completely changes the experience. And I have that talk with clients all the time where I just had to talk with a client last week because she was sick. And so she didn't get her workouts in. Her nutrition wasn't great. And she's like, I just feel like I failed. I said, yeah, you feel like you failed because you signed up with me 2 weeks ago. And now in your mind, you're like, oh, well, I wasted a whole week with my coach. I'm planning on working with him for, 4 months. So this is 1/16 of my entire coach. I'm like, yeah, you got to get that out of your head. This has to be a learning experience where we're if you're going to get this discouraged every time you get sick, now you're just setting yourself up for a frustration all year long because you're probably going to get sick again. You're probably going to miss a week at the gym again at some point. But you got to get out of your mind of like, I signed up with a coach. I got to be on point because that's what sets you up for disappointment.
Right, and that's where I always like zooming out too. I always like I love. I don't know which app you use for your clients, but in my training app, we've got like the weight scale and everything, and it's got like the week, the month, the 3 month, the 6 month. So
yeah,
I have clients like track. I look at tracking of things just data, right? It's just information. The more information we have, the better we can make a decision moving forward there. And so I like looking at because we look at like the month, like like it only went down like a pound here or something. Oh, the weight on the barbell only went up this much. But if we zoom out to like 6 months, it's like, oh my gosh, like and so like I love like the more data for me, the better because it's unbiased. We can look at it and just be like, yeah, like here's what we know. Here's how we can move forward, right? So
I had that up with a client actually today where I was just kind of like checking up on her stats and and I zoomed out and I was like, she's down 20 pounds.
Yeah.
It's like I was like but like you forget because it does happen like in increments and it goes up and sometimes it'll plateau. And she was someone who like over the last couple of months has had some stress in her life, was transitioning to a new job and didn't feel like she was being as consistent. So I was like, I zoomed out for a second. I was like, you're down 20 pounds in 6 months. I'm like, and she's not someone who's very overweight. She was someone who's like, wanted to like lean up and get in better shape. So it is very important to sometimes zoom out and go, oh yeah, I am making a ton of progress. It's just, week to week, it can be like, fluctuate.
Right. Well, I know, Adam, I know you have you gotta hop on another call here, and so before I let you go though, what's one just kind of action tip? What's one thing that the listeners can kind of put into action this week heading into Thanksgiving?
Ooh, that's a tough question. One thing to focus on.
Yeah,
I would say simplicity. Like, keep it simple, basics. Don't, and that's a lot of words, but like I would say, whenever you're confused about nutrition or training, just think basic. The more basic, the better it is. If I showed you my training program or the foods that I eat after doing this, being a professional for 10 years, but also doing fitness on my own for 10 years prior to that, so 20 years, like, you would be like, that's what you do? Oh, your upper body workout, it's incline press, lat pull downs, rows, dumbbell chest press.
no.
That's the whole workout, right? Oh, what's your diet? Oh, you eat eggs, you eat protein powder, you eat oatmeal, you eat rice. Like, just, if it sounds complex, that should be a sign that, okay, I should probably not go with that approach. Just that's my word, is basics. Keep it basic.
Love it. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Where can people find you at?
At Badger Strength on Instagram. My website is badgerstrength.com. And my podcast is called Talkin' Fit with Adam Badger. And Anthony was on a recent episode there as well. So any of those resources, any of those places would be a great place to go if you want to get more info.
All right, awesome. I'll get all the information from you, and I'll put it in the show notes. But thanks for coming on, man, and hope you and your family have a great Thanksgiving.
You too, man. Thank you.
That concludes this episode of the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast. Thank you for those of you who took time out of your busy schedules to listen. If you have any questions or comments or an idea for a topic for a future episode, please feel free to reach out, and I'd love to hear from you.